recording, you do the editing, and
yeah, pretty much everything.
Yeah, you're live.
We are live.
we're live. Nice.
Awesome.
Now you can actually.
I don't have to like look at a camera.
No. Just have a conversation.
Just you and me, pretty much. If these guys want to chime in, by all means.
Yeah, I mean, and unintentionally look at you.
Yeah,
It's
no.
okay. Yeah.
Act as natural as you would.
The time of super high production on anything is over, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the
At least
casual format is probably the best thing to.
That's
best thing
right.
to do.
So Carlos with Rough Duty.
Yeah, man.
It's nice to meet you. Really, thank you for coming.
Likewise.
And sounds like you didn't have to drive far. You're right here. So, tell us about. And I'm gonna, by all means, ask me questions as well.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna start. I'm gonna kick it off with a question. Tell us about Rough Duty and kind of how you got started.
So it's been about 2 years. Funny enough, my cousins, they have a company called I Scoop Poop. They do the same thing.
Okay.
They're out of Grand Prairie. I don't know if you've heard of them or not. But they've been doing it probably about 2.5 years. So they were 6 months in. They had about 100 customers. My cousin hit me up with a text one day. He said, "Hey, figured you'd appreciate this. We built a $100,000 business in the last 90 days. And then I said, "What is it?" He said, "We're picking up poop." I asked him about 3-4 more questions. I asked him how he's getting customers, how he's servicing. And then I didn't even know it was a thing that people pick up dog poop.
Yeah.
Some people will pay you to pick up dog poop. So I asked him about 3 questions, how he's getting the customers. He told me through social media. We had like probably 5 messages back and forth. And then all of my family's pretty close. These particular cousins, they're brothers that run it. It's my cousin Tony and Steven. So I ended up going to their house. I didn't want to like leech off them and like take their idea because I thought they were the only ones in the whole Metroplex picking up poop. So I went to their house. I was like, man, I would like to do that. I was working a full-time job at the time in an office. I'm not much of an office type of guy. So I'd like constantly been looking for a way out, just something to start on the side, see if we can get something running. So I went over there, asked for their blessing. Said, "Hey man, do you mind if I do this same thing on my side of town? You know, I'm not going to interfere with y'all's little coverage area. I'm going to take no customers or anything like that. Would you just mind if I do the same thing as well?" So they said yes. They gave me the blessing. Ended up getting a customer. Like probably took me like 5 weeks to get a customer after that. Did a little Facebook page. Got my sister's a graphic designer, so I got her to do the logo. She did the website. Real casual stuff. If you look at it, like real elementary, like amateur type build, even up to this day. But got her to do it. Did some social media advertising. Got a customer, and then
Kept
boom,
going.
boom. There we go.
Awesome. So here you are 2 years later. Man, that's awesome. I love to hear about those stories. And you started by saying you didn't even know the industry existed very long. It wasn't very long between the time you learned about the industry and you went for it and started your business.
Yeah. Once you get into it, you were the first one I saw. Funny enough, you're like the top dog in the industry. So
The website, our Scoop Soldier sites.
yeah, just if you Google Poop Scoop, you know, Scoop Soldiers comes up. Saw your website, saw everything that you did. I didn't know who the owner was, not until Ben reached out.
Yeah.
And that was like the biggest reason I wanted to come say what's up, because you built a couple of monsters. Once Ben reached out, he included your information, Chorby, Scoop Soldiers. I was like, that's the guy that does Scoop Soldiers. And then learn that you did
welcome.
Chorby as well.
It's a pleasure to meet. The feeling's mutual. It's a pleasure to meet you, and it's always great to meet you. And you know, when I think of competition, you know, my thing is, especially in pet waste removal, but really in all industries, one of somebody who's helped me more than anybody else is actually a direct competitor in lawn and landscaping, not in pet waste removal, but in lawn and landscaping, and in basically everything Chorby offers. He's a direct competitor, and he's helped me. You know, I'm a big believer that we believe in the concept of abundance.
Yeah.
And part of that concept of abundance is, yes, I'm competitive. Yes, you know, in the micro, I want to be the best. I want to be the best at what we do, and for that matter, the biggest.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't believe, especially in this industry, that that there's just this single pie. And if I lose a client, somebody else is gaining that client. I think that's industry awareness. You know, if every truck you add to the road is going to increase the awareness of the industry as a whole. And like you said,
Yeah.
when they see that truck, they may go to you. They may find you off of your truck.
Yeah,
A
they're
lot of
just
people
aware
will.
that it's a thing. You know, they'll Google it, check it out.
That's exactly right. They'll
I've-
Google, maybe they'll find me, maybe they'll find a competitor that's not you or I. And so
Yeah.
the industry is so new and needs, there's such a need for awareness within our industry. It's what I would call an emerging industry.
Mhm.
And with that, there's just so much opportunity for the industry to grow and for us to grow as an industry.
It's funny you say the guy that you learn the most from is a competitor, even though he's like in a different field, service type industry type of stuff. I've noticed like the guys, I imagine he's successful at what he does if he taught
Oh,
you or you're able to gather information from him. But the people that are successful, that actually do the thing, actually do the work, they're the guys willing to give the most information. They ain't gonna withhold anything. For the most
Right.
part, they're truly looking for other people to be successful as well.
Right.
Understanding that it's a big old pie out there. I mean, there's like,
Well, you can create new pies is the cool thing.
Yeah.
You know, think of it, look at Walmart and Amazon. Walmart dominated and was the largest corporation in the world. And it's not anymore. Amazon in a lot of ways kind of took a lot of market share from Walmart. But Walmart's still enormous and still grows. Its stock still goes up.
yeah,
Not to mention Target, but you look at Walmart versus Target, then you've got Amazon now. Well, Amazon didn't exist 20 years ago when you still had Walmart and Target. It's not like it killed Walmart and Target.
mhm.
There
broaden the
was more.
marketplace.
There was you broaden the marketplace exactly. There's more pies created. It's not one pie that we all are having to split up somehow.
Yeah, yeah. CVS builds next to Walgreens.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly,
Taco Bell,
exactly.
McDonald's.
Here locally, right here where we both live here in the North Dallas area, where they just built an HEB right across the street from a Kroger. And yes, that's gonna
packed.
decrease. Yeah, that's gonna decrease some of Kroger's revenues, especially for a short period of time.
Mhm.
But as things level out, it really just increased sales on that little street corner.
Yeah, hell, I was gonna go to HEB the other day and it was 2 packs. So I went to Kroger. It's right next door.
Exactly. Exactly.
Sorry to look at the camera directly,
You can look with that.
Yeah. Whatever's
man.
comfortable.
Get my portrait over here.
Okay, so I started, but you mentioned you're gonna have lots of questions. I love to do Q&A as well. So
Yeah.
what questions can I answer?
You said you started out of a, what was it, garage or a storage center?
Well, actually, with Scoop Soldiers, we started out of the headquarters we're at now, which is an acre property in between McKinney and Frisco.
Do you own that or do you lease it?
No, I own it.
Okay.
I own it. I had actually bought it, remodeled it. It was the first house I personally bought and lived in for a little over a year.
Nice.
But it's been our headquarters. My business partner and the co-founder of Scoop Soldiers, he lived there as a bachelor for 5 years after I moved out and rented it from me. But that we also basically built a lawn and landscaping business in the backyard
Mhm.
and in the garage, as well as Scoop Soldiers.
Did you ever have a job, like a big boy, like a real job prior?
I
Did you always
had
do your own
I
thing?
had a number of real jobs. I never made more than $12 an hour. As far as an hourly pay. So in other words, I never had a career or anything per se. I had a number of jobs. I delivered pizzas, which probably paid the best.
I did that.
You know, I delivered pizzas. We actually did a number of delivery jobs. Worked at Jason's Deli as well. This is all before DoorDash and such.
Yeah, yeah.
But I did that. I worked a number of jobs. I worked in Bellman and valet for two or three different hotels. But I never had a job that I had longer than 7 months. I think 7 months was the longest job. I was not good at keeping jobs.
Yeah. Why? Just didn't like being told what to do, or always had the idea of doing your own thing?
I always had the idea of doing my own thing, and
Yeah.
I did. I mean, yes, I have issues with authority.
Yeah.
So, in a macro sense, I didn't like being told what to do, but it wasn't necessarily that I was just so. I wasn't I wasn't a horrible employee in the sense that I argued with my employers.
Yeah.
I was more so a horrible employee because I was not bought in. I wasn't bought into the idea of coming to a job.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was very clear in the fact that I was running for the door the moment that I was scheduled to be off.
Mm.
And I was coming in, at best on time,
Yeah, yeah.
like not even a minute early,
Yeah.
If you've ever worked at any, you can tell the difference in the people that are engaged and bought into their job.
Yeah, yeah,
That was
for
not
sure.
me at any job I ever had. And it was probably pretty obvious, especially looking back.
Yeah, I was very similar. I had right out of school, so during school, I caddied and I played poker, and I was able to
Oh,
all my finances were covered. I was going to school full time, and I was just like, man, I'll just start doing this more. And once I get out of school, I won't be going to school. I'll caddy, I'll play poker, I'll DoorDash. It's not like a very appealing thing when you tell it to people. It's like,
It's way more appealing than a job.
yeah, you tell it to somebody, you kind of look like a loser though. You're like, yeah, you're not gonna get a job. You're gonna DoorDash.
Yeah,
You're
that's
caddy?
that's
And
what COVID did for people. I don't know when this period was that you're
This
talking
was
about.
graduated at the end of 2018. So
Okay.
just kind of like the perception of it.
Yeah, but
It's kind of a funny thing. You grow to not give a shit about it, you know.
Yeah.
But when you're kind of a vulnerable kid, not really sure what direction you want to go, and you're telling people, yeah, I think I'm
I
gonna
know
do
what you
this, not get a job, and you're seeing the responses, it's like, all right,
I know
I
exactly
guess I'll
what
go
you
ahead and
mean.
get a job. So ended up getting a job. Did it for 2 years. Great. By all means, as far as like a job,
What did
very
you
good
do?
job. I did inside sales for this company called Industrial Networking Solutions. They do like networking equipment, cellular routers,
Okay.
antennas, cabling, all the accessories. It's basically like to provide a internet connection in remote areas.
Okay.
So I ended up meeting the owner when I caddied. He offered me a job there on the course. I did an interview, ended up graduating, started the job 10 days later. So it was good, you know, it was a great environment, but like the idea of being in a building all day, four walls, cubicle, typing on the computer, and
Yeah.
you got the phone ringing, it's very hard to like buy in, like you said, when you're dealing with cellular routers, and you're like, I'm a weirdo. I'm like constantly thinking, what's the point of all this? What's the point of being here? You know, the world. What's the point of being on Earth? So like when you're thinking that, and then you're in a cubicle selling a router, like, dude, this shit is, it sucks. This doesn't even, what does this even matter for?
Yeah.
You know, you got some other guy that you're talking to that his boss is breathing down his neck. The only reason that he's talking to you is because he has a duty to fulfill within his job. But I say that, and it ended up actually being a good thing. You end up learning a lot of things. I ended up figuring out, you know, how 80-90% of the world, what they're doing on a day-to-day basis, Monday through Friday. You know, you kind of get into that adult world. Oh, now the people that are my customers, I kind of have a conversationally, I'm able to kind of relate to what they do on a day-to-day basis by being in that environment.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of these people work in an office, and I didn't know how to like type an email. Once I got there, you know, I didn't know how to write on a keyboard.
Really?
Yeah.
So they didn't. You didn't learn that.
I was
in
a terrible
school?
student. Yeah, it's embarrassing to even say that I didn't know how to type on a keyboard. But
So-
high school bad student, college bad student.
Me too.
Barely got by.
Me too.
Was mainly just going because you're supposed to go.
Yeah.
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 So-
Me too. I had to
Yeah.
work to get C's. I did have to I had to really work. I didn't completely blow it off, but I definitely did the minimum.
Yeah.
I definitely did the minimum.
I would look at the rubric at the start of the semester, or whatever it is, the itinerary.
Yeah.
And it'd be like 80% test, 20% homework. I was like, all right, if I don't do the homework and I make 100 on all the tests, I'll make an 80. All right, well, if I make a 90 on all the tests, I'll make a 70.
Yeah.
All
So
right,
you
I'll just study for the test.
work to hack the system, basically,
Yeah.
which is a good thing. A hack in a good way, in my
Yeah.
mind at least.
Kind of, you kind of bite you in the ass sometimes when
Well,
you,
yeah,
when you
if
end up
you miss
making a C on the test.
Right.
Yeah, you end up failing the class. But
Right. You definitely got to build your buffer in there.
yeah. So yeah, I wasn't a very good student. They teach you all that kind of stuff within school, you know, crafting an email, but honestly, not to the extent that you're actually going to use it in the real world. Once you actually get in that real environment, you're transacting with another adult that has been working for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
They're buying something from you. The way people conversate, the way people talk, the professionalism. I don't think I would have learned it if I wasn't in that environment. So
Right.
ended up being a good thing. A lot of stuff I learned there. Worked for like two guys that were very meticulous, very particular the way they like to do things, incredible at what they did. So a lot of the things that I learned from them, how to communicate with the customer, being timely.
That's worked for you with Rough Duty
Yeah,
last
it all ends up
Yeah.
translating. You don't realize that you're learning this stuff until you.
It's
get into a
amazing what
different
you
thing.
accomplish
Yeah.
when you answer the phone and you address things and
Mhm.
you're proactive as opposed to reactive. So
Yeah.
talk to me more about Rough Duty. Tell me, and feel free to just tell me you don't want to answer that if you don't. But tell me, are you scooping solo, or do you have technicians working for you now?
So
by now?
it's just me right now. I got my dad helping me like 3 days a week.
Okay.
So main service area is like here, Allen, McKinney, Plano, Frisco.
So
that
Collin
kind of-
County.
That little bubble, and then my dad, he still lives out in Rockwall, so we have a route, very small route built out in Rockwall, Fayette,
Awesome.
Nevada, that he takes care of. So
Awesome.
it's just us right now.
You got plans?
As of recent, yeah, we got creeping up on like 200 customers right now. So real small operation.
In the pet waste industry, that's not that small. I don't think when you think about the average.
Yeah.
On the average, I think there's a lot that are in the 100 to 200 range. So as you start
Yeah.
creeping up over 200 on your way to 500, that's when you really in the industry you begin. On my experience, and
Yeah.
you start to get above average, so to speak, above the 50%, and gradually
Yeah.
get up there. Of course, it's such a small industry; it's really hard to collect full data. A lot of it's perception, but that's my perception.
Yeah, that's kind of where we lay right now. And to be honest, I mean, like right now, up to date, I've been running everything through an Excel sheet. 99% of the stuff I do is off the phone. If I need to update something, I'll go make a note in the Excel sheet.
You starting to think about what technology to use?
Just got Jobber.
Okay.
It's probably a good question for you guys. Y'all are gonna know a lot more about this. But my naive self, I got Jobber. I tested a couple other ones just on a trial basis. And the only reason I'm looking into it up to this point, I felt pretty comfortable just with the 170 customers.
I had almost 400 or just over 400 mowing clients
Yeah.
in 2011 when I partnered with my business partner and we started Scoop Soldiers.
Mhm.
I had about 400 clients at my mowing business and I was using Excel spreadsheets.
Yeah.
And my business partner, one of the first things he did was got us looked up and found, what options of technology. This is 2011, a totally different time for technology options, but we found Service Autopilot.
Okay.
We have actually been with Service Autopilot ever since. And I would recommend it for a new business starting out. I would recommend it 100 times over.
Yeah.
I think it does great. It's huge. There's an enormous amount of potential for it,
Mhm.
and it takes a lot of time to learn, an enormous amount of time to learn.
Yeah.
But it very much so works. You've got in the pet waste industry, you've got Sweep and Go is the most common. It's the one that has really begun to dominate the industry. I've talked to Ogie, the co-founder there, and that's an awesome system. I have never heard a single bad thing about it. I think it's a little bit more costly in some ways than Service Autopilot.
Yeah.
Especially as you get larger. It might be less costly when you're smaller, but it also doesn't have some of the same features that Service Autopilot has.
Yeah.
It's more so built around the smaller business. That being said, there's a lot of, I think, big pet waste businesses that are using it, 10 plus trucks. We've looked at it and I actually may still use it. Sweep and Go. Yeah. Because we've got some different problems with Service Autopilot revolving around franchising and having lots of different franchisees. Service Autopilot doesn't work for that.
Gotcha.
Not long term.
Yeah, that's a whole new problem.
But Jobber, yeah, you mentioned Jobber. If you've already committed to Jobber and you're using it, I've heard decent things about Jobber as well.
Yeah, I can get by with decent.
Yeah. And I say that none of them do everything, and no matter what technology you choose, you're going to have frustrations with it.
Yeah, man. To be honest, the main reason for it is just I saw a little clip you did. She probably put it together for you, but you had mentioned that you had like 40 or 50K that was owed at one point in time, and that you had never had like 40 or 50 grand in cash. And you're like, if you can get on auto pay, get on auto pay.
Yeah, and interestingly, so we're talking technology, and we talked a little bit about mentors and industry mentors and such as far as competitors. I mentioned earlier. So the co-founder of Service Autopilot, Jonathan Patoshnik, he co-founded Service Autopilot. That's how I met him. But he's also a direct competitor with Chorby. He has a direct competitor. Actually, he's our biggest competitor.
Was Chorby first or second to Scoop Soldiers?
Chorby, the name Chorby came way after Scoop Soldiers.
Okay.
But the name Chorby came from the business I started in 2006 when I was 21, which was just mowing yards.
Gotcha.
So it was two names before it was Chorby.
And then it evolved to just everything within the house.
Exactly. And everything loosely, not everything yet. We don't do HVAC. We don't do garage door repairs. We don't do housekeeping. There's a number of things we still don't do that we want to do someday.
Yeah.
But we do. That's funny. I always laugh when I say that. We do a lot of different home services. Yeah.
Yeah. Which business? I mean, it's hard to, I guess, ask this, but which business do you like more?
That's hilarious. You were the second person. They tried to get me on that with the true or false. They had the camera in my face earlier.
Yeah,
today.
you got to say like
Actually,
Both of them are
it was those quick yes or no answer type things. And on
Okay.
that one, I said no comment.
Yeah.
Truly. And my executive team, we meet once a month in person. And we did a little fun thing the other day. And I had each of the four of them. We sat around this table here, and I had each of the four of them guess which one of my businesses is my favorite. And each one of them guessed a different one. And frankly speaking, and there's so much truth to this, I don't have a favorite. There's and you saw I've got Executive Lawn Care, which is a mowing business that does lawn mowing, shrub trimming, and mulch. That's it. It does nothing else. Lawn mowing, shrub trimming, and mulch. And that's a business that I love for a number of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I'm removed from that business. It's actually something that's an achievement. Most people never get to that point. So I love it for that reason. But then you've got Scoop Soldiers, and Scoop Soldiers is the biggest.
Mm-hmm.
It's the biggest by more than double. And it's also franchised.
How many states are you in with Scoop Soldiers?
I want to say 20, 15 to 20. I actually sadly don't. I don't know the exact. I know we're in 25 markets.
That's pretty cool to not know how many states that you're in.
25 markets. And I don't know because there's so many different measurements, especially over time as you get larger. There's so many different ways you can measure that I end up getting them all mixed up.
Yeah. How old are you?
I'm 38.
Damn.
So I'll be 39 this month in a few weeks.
Awesome.
We started this at 12 years ago, 2011. So we're coming up on our 13th year.
Pertaining to, what was the first business? It was the
Mowing.
landscaping?
Yeah, really mowing more than anything. But
Did you have any problem relinquishing the control of like it sounds funny because the position you're in now, but when you're first mowing, it's like, do you think anybody else can mow like you and pushing that control of letting somebody else mow?
So I never, I can relate enough because I have worked with people enough and I understand business owners and even people that worked for me.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand the feeling. It never was a problem for me.
Yeah.
And that is something, if you ever, one of the best books I would recommend for anybody in business is called The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. And it talks about this. But no, I wouldn't.
Yeah. What was the mentality behind it? It was just, you always saw the dream for the scalability of it and you couldn't scale your mowing yards.
That, and I'm by nature a little bit lazy.
Yeah. Laziest people find the easiest way to do things.
There you go. Exactly. And so I'm by nature lazy. And so it's easy for me to delegate.
Yeah.
It's easier, I should say, easier, because some people would be like, are you sure about that, EJ? In some areas, not so much. I still love to manage our fleets, for example. So I tend to have a bigger hand in managing, the different trucks that we've got and whatnot, because I love cars. And so there's still some things that maybe you could argue that I a little bit micromanage.
Yeah.
But very little. And part of that is by design, because my job in my mind from the time I was 21 or even younger was to work myself out of a job. Yeah. Even though I still work every day, my goal was always to work myself out of not having to work.
Yeah. Do you view it as work up to this point?
I mean, yes, in the sense that my wife reminds me that any time that I am not with the family, in her eyes, I'm working.
Yeah.
And so that keeps me somewhat mindful of it. But at the same time, no, I don't really consider it work.
Yeah.
Not most of it.
Stuff you're doing, projects, stuff you want to do on a daily. You got to wake up and occupy your time with something.
I was actually at there was a mastermind group that we helped host, or I say host. We hosted their what has it been? We helped host. We hosted them to do location tours. They toured our shops. Thank you, shop tours. That's the word I was looking for. So they toured our two locations, one in Anna and one in McKinney. Mm-hmm. And so we did this masterminds, but one of the speakers there was really speaking about this. And you as a business owner, you should work your way towards that. You should find the things you're passionate about, do those, and figure out ways to get others to do the things you don't love as a business owner, and focus on what you love. And what you love tends to be what you're best at anyways. Yeah.
It's just easier to be good at that thing because there's not so much like unwanted effort that you have to apply towards it. It's just natural.
Exactly.
Is a delegation thing a skill that you had to learn? The management of people?
The management of people was a lot harder than the delegation thing. That's a great question. Yeah. The management of people was a lot harder.
Mhm.
I was good at delegating. I wasn't. What I had to probably get better at learning at was the finding and identifying people. And it's still, you're never perfect at it. No
Yeah.
matter how good you get at hiring, whether you're hiring your first, second, fifth technician, whether you're hiring your first operations manager or your first marketing agency or your in-house marketing, whatever you're hiring for, internal or external teams, you've got to practice it, and you're never going to be perfect at it.
Yeah.
And so, that was harder to learn, was finding the right people to delegate to. And that's still an ongoing journey.
Yeah, understanding who's actually going to do the work.
And
as
it's
opposed to
trial.
some
And
flake.
it's trial and error. It's
Yeah.
trial and error. But yeah, that's a good question, because you're right. The delegating is always easy.
Mhm.
Learning the people skills to find and understand who might be good, and getting people on your team and being able to paint the picture and learning that skill.
Yeah. That was a question.
Communications,
That was a question. I did door-to-door sales for a pest control company called Romney Pest Control.
I know.
And, Greg Romney.
I know. How
I
do
still
you know?
So I did door-to-door sales for him for about 4 years during the summertime.
Okay.
While I was in school. Greg's a badass dude. I heard he just
So
got
you
on
know
your team.
Greg.
Yeah,
Yes,
so
that's fantastic. Okay.
heard he just
I love it.
franchised with you. But the reason I found that out is I texted him what we were talking about right now.
Wow, you've got some inside information.
Yeah.
That's not
Yeah.
even official.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Makes you
awesome.
nervous.
No, that's okay. That's perfectly fine. I love it.
Okay.
But that's awesome.
Yeah.
So Greg, you worked with them. So do you know Justin too? Because he had a big hand in that.
I don't know Justin.
Okay.
No. Does Justin have a franchise with you?
Yeah.
I
Justin's
played,
with Greg.
I played pickleball with him.
Okay.
Yeah. So I do know.
Awesome.
Unofficially.
Yeah. So he owns the franchise in Phoenix, and he's
Yeah,
we
yeah,
know
yeah,
Greg.
that's right. Yeah.
And
So
they're taking on 2 new states, 2 markets.
yeah, and the reason I
next
brought
few
that
months.
up and even found out about it, I texted him probably like 3 weeks ago because I'm in the process of what we were talking about. I was like, hey, I'm looking to hire a full-time pooper scooper. Greg's done this for a long time. It's one of the only people that I know that has actually done it and built it.
Yeah.
And Romney was very successful, still successful. So
No, I'm
text
really
him.
excited. I've only met him once.
Oh man, that guy's
Greg, nice guy. But
a representation of how good of a dude he is. I text him. I talk to him about once every 6 months, and he's in Utah right now, but they're going to be moving back to Texas.
okay.
And if I ask him a question, every now and again, I ask him a question, something that I'm not aware of. The question that I asked him was, hey, what we were talking about now, what question should I be asking to a potential person that I'm going to be hiring? What should I be looking for? How can I discern a flake from somebody that's actually going to do the work and show up,
Yeah.
be prideful in the thing that they do? And within like 30, 40 minutes, he got back with the dissertation
Wow.
of everything to ask. And we ended up going back and forth a couple of times. And he said, believe it or not, I'm in the poop school business now too.
Mm.
And I said, I bet you're in the process of building a monster. And he said, I'm actually franchising with Scoop Soldiers.
That's
And then
awesome.
I told him I was going to be meeting up with you.
Yeah.
in a couple
I'm
weeks.
excited. I'll say it bluntly here. I'm excited to have him on the team because someday we're going to be working in the franchising pest control business.
Oh yeah.
And so,
Yeah, man, he's
I
a
know
mover.
I know I could learn a lot from him. And
Yeah.
I'm really excited. I'm really excited to have him on
Yeah.
as a new franchisee. So
He's a good dude. He's a man of principle. Just a solid.
that's good.
dude.
That's good. That's awesome. Small world.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I thought
So
it- I
you
thought it
sold
was
for
fun.
him. You did door to door for him for here locally.
Did it here locally. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did it for Ford. So I did the caddy and poker thing during school. During the summertime, I did.
Go back to that
sales.
poker thing. I love poker.
Yeah.
So you were able to actually make some money playing poker.
Yeah. So you say it. I was able to make money consistently every single month. I was at like the bottom of the totem pole.
So you were
as
making
what
like
could
$20 an hour.
I was around 10, 11 big blinds on the 1-2 game. Ended up getting to around $24 an hour. That's what it was. So I played very low stakes, very entry level.
Yeah, $1, $2, $3 games.
Yeah. Ended up going to like 1-3 and was able to make 10, 11 big blinds per hour there. So I ended up getting to about 30, 33.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
follow
over the
different
course of-
things online, and I read about the guys able to do this. I'm what I call at best a mediocre poker player.
Yeah.
I don't usually lose. I usually come out 50, $100 ahead, but that
Yeah.
usually takes a few hours, so I don't really do very good on the hourly.
Yeah, well, it's
But-
over the course of like hundreds of hours.
True,
to actually
and
get the
I
numbers.
never play that long, but at best, I tend to maybe break even, maybe lose a little. And so I've basically, and I've been playing for over a decade.
Yeah, you're better than 90% of people. Then
Yeah,
if you're
I don't lose every time I play, pretty much, is the
Yeah.
best I can say.
Yeah. So did that, but during the summertime, did door-to-door sales for Greg. I wasn't very good door-to-door salesman.
You weren't, but you did it 4 years.
Did it 4 years. I was good when I did it. I was bad about going to knock on the door. So the idea is that you want to be knocking about 8 to 9 hours a day, Monday through Saturday during the summertime. It's hot as hell outside.
Yeah.
I'd commonly find myself at like a movie theater or Starbucks or something, and then I'd get in some knocking hours from like 6 to 9.
But when you did it, you were good at it. Because
Yeah, like per capita, I was decent.
to me,
Yeah.
if there is a skill you can learn, like if there's a skill that's going to make you money or a way to like fast track yourself to being able to make money in sales,
Mhm.
it's figuring out and mastering door-to-door sales.
Yeah, it's like the hardest one.
It's
to-
like
to
one of the
do out
hardest
the gate.
things. It's better. It's harder than cold calling 100 people. You've got a phone in between you. Like that is right there.
Build some calluses for sure. You get told no
Not to
all-
mention the physical and the physical aspect, but you get told no constantly. You get rudely told no constantly.
kind of end up
Door to
learning how
door.
do jokes and
Yeah.
conversate with different types of people.
Door to door is a skill set unto itself.
Yeah. I don't know words. half the
Whatever.
time.
I don't.
You go right.
That's why it's not book smart, street smart.
Yeah. It's street smarts, not book smarts. Exactly.
Yeah, so did that. Yeah, it was decent when I was doing it, but I was very bad about doing it. But that was actually the first thing I wanted to do. I was like, man, I'll just start a pest control company once I get out of school, which would have been funny to say at that time because I was like one of the worst salesmen on the board. And like, this guy wants to start a company, but that was kind of my idea. Didn't end up doing it and ended up actually getting a job.
You did better getting into pet waste.
Oh, brother, I love the pet. I love the pet.
I always say, I said it a few times even this week, if I was starting over today and I was going to do the work myself, or I had to do the work myself, I would clean pools
Mhm.
or I would do poop at waste. And the decision between the two would be how long I'm having to do the work. If I knew I was going to have to do the work for years without hiring crews and moving into the office and so on, I would clean pools. Because from a physical standpoint, it's still got some physical and manual labor to it, but at the same time, it's also got a mechanical aspect to it. And when you get hot, you just fall in.
Yeah.
And I love the idea of that. You can wear flip flops and get away with it.
Yeah.
But then
picked
if
up
I was
poop
going to
with
scale it, it'd be poop scooping.
Yeah.
It's one of those two industries is what I would start with. For
Yeah.
those reasons.
I didn't know it at the time, but like just happened naturally. The poop scoop doesn't cost anything to get into. I mean, I bought a $30 rake and pan at Petco. Still use that rake and pan.
Yeah, it's
So-
about having business savvy. We were just talking about street smarts.
Yeah.
It's about figuring things out, whether it be the marketing aspect or the labor aspect.
Yeah. The marketing's definitely probably the biggest one. And
Marketing, labor, finances.
yeah.
Pretty much it.
Yeah.
You can figure out how to take good care of people, including whether it be your clients or your team members. You can figure out marketing. You can figure out how to fund it all.
Mhm.
Sky's the limit.
Yeah. Not bad. I'm learning along the way. Still like a real small fish in a pond right now, but learning things as it goes.
Again, you're not when it comes to this industry, pushing almost 200 clients. So you basically are adding 100 clients a year.
Yeah, so probably like the first 6 months, I got the majority of customers.
All organically through marketing and such. You didn't inherit or
No,
acquire.
sir. Yeah, no inheritance.
What I mean by inherit is
Or
like buy them or
Didn't
adopt
buy them or
some.
nothing like that. Yeah, everything for the most part was through Facebook. Now, kind of had like some organic growth on Google. I haven't
Good.
done anything through
So
there,
you
but
put up a website and all that.
yeah, I had the website at the very beginning. Had the Google places at the very beginning. Slowly started reaching out to people to like give me a review.
Yeah.
After the reviews built up a little bit, probably like within the last 8-10 months, people started like reaching out, and I would ask them how they found me. They said they Googled Poop Scoop. So I don't know how it's happening.
Did you do your own web development or did you hire a guy or something?
Did Squarespace, and then I had my sister just do the design of it. If you look at it right now, it's pretty.
Yeah, it's probably your
interesting.
Google Maps. Is it a lot of stuff that's pretty close to you, or is it stuff that's?
Yeah, it's everything. Get a lot of traction in like McKinney now. No, I say a lot. We're talking like a couple reach outs a month, but a couple
Yeah,
reach outs a month.
That's where you start. You know, our
Yeah.
first year, I think we only had 50 clients
Really?
in 2011. We started in February. We had 2 clients in February. By the end of that first year, I don't think we had more than 25. I know we didn't have more than 50.
How were you getting them at the beginning?
At the beginning, it was kind of the same. Well, not Facebook, but it was good. We had a website. We had started with door hangers. In fact, that little camouflage door hanger right up there was our first door hanger. You might. It's
Which one?
framed. It's framed up in that corner there. There's a door hanger. You can see it with a little circle cut out. So that was our first
Nice.
door
I wanna
hanger.
do something
The
like
entire idea, the entire inception of Scoop Soldiers was the idea that I could slap mowing on the front of the door hanger, which is how up until 2011 I had really grown. Mowing was through door hangers,
Really?
and then I could do on the back side of that pet waste removal.
Did you pay those companies to just go?
I paid them companies. I also did it in house. I mean, all of the above.
Yeah.
And I quickly learned in pet waste removal it wasn't going to do it for us.
It wasn't
So,
effective?
No, I wouldn't recommend doing door hangers.
Really?
No, because don't think about it. I mean, even if 60% of that neighborhood owns dogs, 40% don't.
Yeah.
And
waste.
so in lawn mowing, exactly, total waste. In lawn mowing, you're lucky, especially in 2023, to get a 1% return
Mm,
in interest in your service.
yeah.
Well, if 40% of your people, the people you're passing those out to, don't even have a dog, that response rate is going to go way down. It's going to go down to 0.5% to 1/4% or less.
What do you close on once the 1% reaches out?
Back then and even now at Shoreby, it's about 65, 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
At Scoop Soldiers, it's ranged so much, but for the longest time, it was more like 3 out of 4. Nowadays, it's less than that. Leads have, it's gotten, conversion rates the last 12 months as a whole, we've seen go down.
Yeah. I don't have very much data, but I've noticed.
Yeah.
I've noticed
You
about it.
notice a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like there's a little bit more tire kickers, so to speak.
Yeah.
Seems like, but again, that's not, we do not have fully perfect valid data to show that. A lot of that is perception, and a lot of that's what I hear just in throughout different pieces of the industries that I listen to.
Are you still honing it? You got 2 monsters, so I imagine, how long did it take to hone in the process from them reaching out? And then like what to do once they reach out? Or
We're
convert them to a
constantly still working
customer? Still
on that.
tweaking it all the time?
Always.
Yeah.
Always. And it does this. So, you think you have it perfectly solved, and then you grow a little bit more and it breaks again. And so you're constantly improving your systems, your processes as a whole, whether it be how to take clients, how to bring in new clients, how to convert sales. You're constantly having to reinvent that.
Yeah.
And in my experience, forever.
Yeah. Or you just fall
you're
behind.
Well, you'll fall. That's the competition in a capitalistic market. Is you're constantly having to keep up. You're constantly having to find the next thing. You can't ever get in a place in my mind where it's like, all right, now I can be on cruise control.
Yeah.
You've got to be constantly innovating,
Looking ways to improve.
and looking for ways to improve. Because if you're not, you've got competitors that are. Again, I'll use the example I gave earlier: Walmart versus Amazon.
Mhm.
Amazon came up and got them in this area, even though Walmart's still great, huge.
Yeah.
Amazon took an enormous amount of opportunity from them via the internet.
Yeah, you want a banana, we'll deliver to you in 2 hours.
Exactly. Walmart could have done that just as well. Heck, they had the infrastructure way before Amazon ever did.
Just not the idea,
Not the idea, or the ability to execute. They
Yeah.
probably even had in some ways the idea, that they didn't have the desire nor the ability to fully execute it. They had the resources.
Yeah.
It's been good. How
Yeah.
long are we going? I don't know. What time is it?
It's 2:54 right now. We've been
So we're about
recording for
45
40 minutes.
This is good, Carlos. Thank you thanks for coming.
Yeah, for sure, man. Appreciate you having me. Appreciate you having me in your home.
Absolutely.
Have some stranger come over to your house.
This is the home office, so to speak. So
Yeah.
I have all sorts of meetings.
How many employees do you have between Scoop Soldiers?
Scoop Soldiers as a whole. So outside of what franchisees probably have another 80 to 100 employees, but Scoop Soldiers right now has about 65, 70 employees. about 55 service technicians, scoop technicians.
How's turnover rate between a technician? Like, how long do you keep a technician?
Every 3 months.
Really?
Average.
Damn.
3 to 6 months.
Is that low? Is that
The
low or is
number
that
one.
high? It's low.
Well,
Or I
I mean,
guess
that's high turnover.
High turnover. Yeah.
It's high turnover. Yeah. Like I say, one of the biggest challenges in this business is as I jokingly say, keeping asses in seats.
Yeah.
In other words, keeping people driving and doing routes.
Yeah.
That is the hardest thing in this business. Yeah, it always has been the biggest challenge. Look, the job's actually, I think the job's an awesome job. Growing up mowing yards and doing and learning through different skilled trades, whether it's plumbing or whether it's fertilization and weed control or lawn mowing. Being a technician, I personally would prefer to do, as I mentioned a second ago, it's one of the jobs I prefer to do. You've got a dustpan, you've got a rake, and you get to play with dogs. Most of the time they're friendly.
You're walking in grass. I mean,
Yeah,
compared to like being in an office, you got a phone ringing all day. You're talking about stuff you don't
Exactly.
necessarily want to talk about.
Half
And
the
now you're just
jobs-
chilling outside.
Exactly. And when you're not outside in nice neighborhoods and nice backyards, half the job is driving.
Yeah.
And so you can be anything from jamming out to your favorite music, or you can be listening to stuff that's going to give you new ideas and get you thinking entrepreneurial. That's what I
Yeah.
used to do all the time when I would drive
Yeah, I
routes
do
in different ways.
I do that all the time.
Make
I
that
try to
thing
do
a
less.
university.
Try to do like less of it because you can only get so much information without the execution of the information. So I like to limit myself on what
Yeah.
I'm intaking. But yeah. Half the job's driving. You cool down with a little bit of AC.
Exactly.
My cousin and I joke and say, "Man, can you believe that we're doing this? You're able
You
to
know-
make a living picking up poop."
You know what a term that we've started using around here? I actually got it from one of our oldest franchisee. I call him Grandpa affectionately.
Mhm.
Actually, the story goes, so that executive lawn care sign up there, I acquired his business. That's his cell phone, by the way. Memorize it and call him. I've always told him I always threatened I was going to, advertise his
I'll
son.
come around
Anyways.
and ring after this.
Ron, I bought executive lawn care from him in 2014. In 2019, he bought our first franchise, which is the Frisco, McKinney, Allen, Prosper territory, like the original territory. But he came up with a new term that I love. I would love to get using in the industry. It's called T-Pig.
T-Pig.
T-Pig. And it's an acronym. T-Pigging is the other way we put it.
Mhm.
But turning poop into gold.
Yeah,
T-Pigging.
that's pretty good.
I know. I love it. So we've started using it. I have noticed this, though. The gals on our team, they don't find it as hilarious as all the guys do. The guys think it's hilarious. They love
Yeah,
it.
the guys just have a straight
But
face.
my
behind here.
VP of operations and our chief of staff, they can't quite seem to fall in love with it like I have.
Yeah, it's funny. It's just we talk about it all the time. We call each other once a week. We're very happy with what we're doing. It's just kind of funny that people pay for it, and you're offering a convenience and a luxury, and greatest asset you have in this world is time. So if you could save 12, 15 minutes a week,
Yeah.
and you can afford it. Funny enough, I probably shouldn't say what I was about to say, but a lot of people, they probably shouldn't be paying for it. They should probably be a little tighter with their
Oh,
budget.
I know what you're going to say. Okay, so I'll say it this way. With my business partner and I, Josh, is really the one who he scooped a lot of houses. Let's put it that way. I didn't scoop nearly as many houses as he did. And so he early on learned that there's a broader socioeconomic base for pet waste removal, like a client base, people that are in there. You'll go into the rattiest neighborhoods,
Mhm.
all the way up to obviously the nicest neighborhoods,
Yeah.
and everything in between. Whereas lawn mowing is a little bit more, in our experience, it's always been a little bit more specific to like middle class. Like it's not as broad of a demographic.
Mhm.
Pet waste removal is very broad. We've been into. I remember scooping in Houston briefly and going into like a rough part of Houston, and it's like I'm like shocked at the shack I'm looking at, and they're
Yeah.
paying for poop scooping, but it's because people love their animals. Like
Yeah.
that's a testament to this industry.
Or they hate picking up shit.
They hate, but they feel bad. Like
Yeah.
you're right. They hate picking up shit, but they also feel bad because it's their dog, and it's the backyard. And usually these are some little bitty backyards where the space isn't all that
Yeah,
big. And so another example we always saw was like how, especially when we went to Austin, like we always had this joke, like, nobody in Austin mows their yard.
Yeah.
Because you'd go and you'd scoop around in Dallas or in Frisco, and it's like all the yards are weekly cut. You know, we come from a lawn mowing background, so we notice these things. They're nicely groomed. You go to Austin, and even the nicest neighborhoods, all of the yards are like it's like hippieville. You know, it's all of the yards are all overgrown. And
Why is that in Austin?
because Austin's weird.
Yeah, it is a little-
And they pride themselves on being weird. I love
Yeah.
Austin. I'm kidding, but no. The Austin, they pride themselves on being weird, but it was just an observation we made that we always thought was funny.
It's kind of funny the things that you start observing when you're in
Yeah.
the industry. So
Yeah,
tell your wife when you're driving, look how long that yard is over there.
yeah, exactly.
That's good, man. Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome what you've done. How's the media thing going?
Slowly but surely.
Yeah.
It's
Learning-
happening. We're
learning
making
along
it
the way.
happen, right, team? We're making it happen.
Yeah.
Audience is continuing to
Yeah.
grow.
So
engagement is increasing.
we're growing, and we've got big plans for it, but we're committed to it. So we're committed to it, and in a number of fronts. But one is to help professionalize the pet waste industry. It's still such a small industry, and there's still obviously there's the trade group, and then there's other franchisors.
Even for a little guy like me, just seeing some of your clips, I mean, it's beneficial. It's helpful. So what y'all are doing is good.
Thank
know?
you. That's encouraging to hear.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, it's very niche, obviously.
It is.
There's not a whole lot of people picking up poop, but when you do
Well,
come
feel
across
free-
a guy that has done it to the highest
Right.
level, if he's willing to give out some info.
We need to make sure you're communicating, message us questions, whatever we need, or whatever you come up with, and we'll keep producing content around that. Try to get more of those questions, because again, I'm a believer in creating more pies, and I don't believe that like if you get a new client in Allen tomorrow, you're not taking that from my pie. We're
There's
creating
so-
new pies.
yeah,
There's
so
so
many
much
people.
opportunity. So by all means, I want to help the industry and help professionalize the industry. And not just the pet waste industry, but the home services and
Mhm.
various other pet industries as well in the future.
Yeah, that's good that you're doing that. Yeah, there's so
Awesome.
many people.
Well, Carlos, thank you for being here
Appreciate
today again. And we look forward to having you back. Are you laughing because
I'm laughing because
Sydney's like, all right, well, thank you, those of you that are watching live.
Yeah,
Alright.
and ask them to subscribe. and like.
Yes, be sure to subscribe and like our channels, and stay tuned for more.
Thumbs.
Well, I was actually going to try to do, I'm not going to do that. When we get offline, I'll tell Carlos what we're laughing about.
Been working on some different sign outs.